Hi guys, so I'm doing this video not just to mark the 5.5 years of the show, but also because I need financial help. The last time I released a video like this was around 6 months ago, and just to recap things a little bit, up till October 2022 I was getting around $945 of monthly support through Patreon, and then over the course of November and December it went down to $670 of support, and people back then told me that they were struggling financially due to inflation and things like that. And then in early January I released first a Twitter thread and then a video on YouTube asking people for help, and the response was great. Just over the course of a week or so I went up to $922 of support on Patreon, and then unfortunately just a few days after that my top patron ever told me that he was also struggling financially and he could not support me, so it went down to $790 on Patreon. And since February this year the support has been going down gradually, and it now, on the date of this recording, July 31st, stands at $715 on Patreon. And people in their exit surveys on Patreon, at least 90% of them said that their financial situation changed. And so with inflation, the cost of living crisis and all of that, it's perfectly understandable. But to keep the channel sustainable, I would need it to go up to at least $900 of monthly support on Patreon. By the time this video comes out, I will have already released 817 interviews. I will have already done 865 interviews, and I have a full calendar of new interviews to do until December 2023, and many more people interested in doing interviews with me. All of the work for the show is done by me, and over these past 5.5 years I've tried my best to bring you rigorous interviews with academics on science and philosophy, and it takes a lot of work to prepare each interview. And of course I'm very grateful for the support many people have been giving me over these years. And if you like what I'm doing, and if you can, please support me. Please go to Patreon or PayPal. On Patreon specifically, you get all sorts of different benefits depending on your tier. You can support me just with $1, $3 or $5 a month there, and as I said, you get all sorts of benefits there. And so just before I go, I would like to thank my main patrons and PayPal supporters: HELGE, LARSEN, Jerry Muller, FREDRIK, SUNDE, Bernardo, SEIXAS, OLAF, Alex, Adam, KESSEL, Matthew, WHITINGBIRD, ARNAUD, WOLFF, Tim, HOLLOSY, HENRIK, AHLENIUS, John Connors, FILIP, CONNOLLY, DEMETRIOU, Robert WINDHAGER, INACIO, ZOOP, NEVES, COLIN, HOLBROOK, Simon Columbus, Phil KAVANAGH, MIKKEL, STORMYR, Samuel ANDREEFF, Francis FORDE, TIAGO Nunes, Fergal Cusson, Hal Herzog, Nuno Machado, Jonathan Librant, João Linhares, Stanton T, Samuel Correa, Eric Hines, Mark Smith, João Weira, Tom Hummel, Sardas France, David Sloan Wilson, Yacila DEZA-ARAUJO, Romain Roach, Diego Londonho Correa, Yannick Punter, Adana Rusmani, Charlotte Bliss, Nicole Barbaro, Adam Hunt, Pavel Ostazewski, Nelek Bach, Guy Madison, Gary G. Hellman, Saima Afzal, Adrian Yegi, Nick Golden, Paulo Tolentino, João Barbosa, Julian Price, Edward Hall, Edin Bronner, Douglas Fry, Franca Bortolotti, Gabriel Pons Cortez, Ursula Litske, Scott, Zachary Fish, Tim Duffy, Sonny Smith, John Wiseman, Daniel Friedman, William Buckner, Paul George Arnaud, Luke Glowacki, Georgios Theophanos, Chris Williamson, Peter Wolosin, David Williams, Diogo Costa, Anton Eriksson, Charles Morey, Alex Shaw, Amari Martinez, Coralie Chevalier, Bangalore Atheists, Larry D. Lee Jr., Old Herringbone, Starry, Michael Bailey, Dan Sperber, Robert Grassis, Igor N., Jeff McMahon, Jake Zool, Barnabas Radix, Mark Campbell, Thomas Dobner, Luke Neeson, Chris Story, Kimberly Johnson, Benjamin Galbert, Jessica Nowicki, and Pedro Bonilla. A special thanks to my producers, Isar Webb, Jim Frank, Lucas Stafiniak, Tom Vanagdam, Bernard Ugni, Curtis Dixon, Benedict Muller, Vega Guidi, Thomas Trumbull, Catherine and Patrick Tobin, João Carlo Montenegro, and all Nick Ortiz, and to my executive producers, Matthew Lavender, Sergio Codriano, and Bogdan Kanivets. Thank you for all.